Are men manipulators who only want sex? This is one of the best examples of projection from women, really ever. Um, this is just the kind of dual mental tricks that women play. Women will call you a pervert when they do the nastiest stuff. Women will call men sex hounds when they're the ones who have sex the most. Um, Let me just relate a story, or a couple stories actually. I've had a few women in my life call me a manipulator. Um, and I'll just be straight up and honest about the scenario in which that would, you know, in which that was called to me, in which I was called that. Um, in both cases, actually. And this is, I admit that this isn't my best moment. These aren't my best moments. And it comes out of scarcity. When guys try to get girls back, and this is what I was trying to do, I was trying to get these girls back. When guys try to get girls back, a lot of the time, at least in my experience, a lot of the time is out of scarcity. Scarcity means men don't have much options, or any options really. If a guy is trying to take back an old girlfriend, usually he doesn't have much options. And this is why women generally do not come back to men. Generally. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but in general, usually it's the guy trying to get the girl back. And this is why, girls are always, bragging about, oh, my ex tried to get me back, and no, I'm not doing that. Like Taylor Swift wrote a song about it, and it's just this big thing. But anyway, and yeah, it's weak. You generally shouldn't try to get an ex back. Most of the time, she's an ex for a reason. Most of the time, relationships don't work out for a reason. But I tried to do that 2 times, and both times I was called a manipulator. Right? I was called a manipulator because they thought I was trying to get sex, right? Which, you know, men's motivation a lot of times is sex, and I'm not going to say it's not true per se, but a lot of times what men will do, and I admit that this happened to me, was because of scarcity, and really it's kind of like sex slash loneliness. Because of loneliness and scarcity, men will deal with subpar women, or they'll deal with women that they would rather, they would rather have somebody better, or they just don't really feel that in love with a woman, but they're just kind of settling because they don't have anybody better. It's scarcity. So I think men do this a lot more than women, and women are far more choosy by nature, anyways. Um, but anyway, I would say, yeah, it's lack of sex, but it's also loneliness, right? So I tried to do this 2 times with 2 different girls who I had a long-term relationship with both of them over a year, or over 3 years with one of them, or yeah, over a year with the other one. Um, and we broke up, and both times the breakup wasn't very amicable. It wasn't very, you know, it wasn't on good. It wasn't on the best of terms. It wasn't on horrible terms, but it wasn't on the best of terms. There was, um, you know, just some. I wouldn't use the word animosity, but there was just some friction during the breakup, right? In both cases, and a lot of times what men will do is they'll grovel to women, I have to admit, in my past, you know, I've been blue pilled from time to time in my past. I started out blue pilled for sure. I started out thinking that, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go find love and I'm gonna find the right woman, blah blah blah, right? I think a lot of men do that. A lot of guys who become red pilled start out very blue pilled because they don't know any better. They don't understand female nature. They don't understand the way women work, the way life works yet. and they have very, you know, positive, high hopes for love and their future and blah blah blah. And when it doesn't work out, and then they get screwed over and blah blah blah, then they realize, you know, the the red pill is the truth. The red pill is speaking facts, right? Anyway, so because I've been blue pilled in the past, you know, I've had a tendency to not be such a player, to kind of maybe be a little clingy, right? I have a tendency to get attached. That's kind of my deal. I'm a little bit more of an attached type of, I don't know if I use the word emotional, but I'm attached. I get attached to women, and really you're supposed to. I mean, that's what a relationship is. You get attached to that person. You know, that's what pair bonding is all about. When you know, have sex with somebody or you share an intimate relationship with somebody, you're supposed to get attached. But women have this messed up thing where if the guy gets too attached, then they lose attraction and they lose interest. So I've learned over the years to be more detached as opposed to, you know, super, you know, attached. I've been detached. I've learned how to detach myself, and that has worked for me. That's worked. I guess you could say I've become a bad boy, right? I've learned how to sort of play with their emotions a little bit, play push and pull, and that works, and that gets women chasing, and they like it up to a certain point. I've had it backfire on me. Um, One time actually, I've had it backfire. Not a lot of times, but well, a couple times. Because if you're too detached, then they won't invest in you. They won't, you know, fall in love with you. It depends. It's there's like a fine balance. On the one hand, they will fall in love with you. On the other hand, I think it also depends on where they are in life. If a woman's done playing games, she wants to settle down, she's done with the players, then she's really going to be more focused on finding that attachment. But anyway, um, so in these two cases, probably my mistake was I spent too much time with these girls. If you're gonna, well, and I wouldn't say my intentions were just to be a player with them per se. A lot of my intention was I just wanted a girlfriend. I just wanted to be with somebody. You know, yeah, I wanted sex, but who doesn't, right? So this is the weird, you know, hypocrisy of women is that they'll dangle a relationship. You know, they always say, I want a relationship, I want a relationship, but yet they're the ones having the most sex, right? And then I get called a manipulator because I try to get her back, or I try to, you know, reinitiate the relationship, and she's already moved on because women aren't in scarcity mode. Women have abundance of options. Um, Whatever you want to, you know, but you know, whatever you want to attribute that to, is it because there's dating apps? Is it because, you know, it's easier to meet people now than ever before? Is it because, you know, society is changing? Probably all of the above. You know, um, people are getting more promiscuous. Everybody's going out to hook up. Men want to hook up. You know, if all the men were like, no, I don't want to hook up, I just want to marry, then women would have no choice but to marry men, right? So we got to take some responsibility on our end as well. Even though in the past I said, oh no, it's all women, women are promiscuous. I mean, it goes both ways for sure. Like, if women really wanted to settle down with one guy, then they would do that. It's like, but if you, you know, if you really pay attention to what happens is that, you know, they'll date a guy for a year and then they'll get bored and cheat, or, you know, we grew apart or something, and it's like they'll always have some excuse. They'll always have some excuse for why, you know, for why they want to hook up with other guys, for why they want a new boyfriend, you know, and women are the women are the real players, really. Um, I used to say that a long time ago. I haven't said it in a while, but yeah, women are the real players. They really are. Women are the real players. Um, But yeah, I got called a manipulator for trying to get women back, back in my life. And oh, you just want to use me, or oh, you're just manipulating me. And what it really means is that they don't want to get back in a relationship. That's what it means. And it means that, really behind the reason why that is because I didn't have what they wanted. I wasn't offering what they wanted. They thought they wanted me, you know. But then at a certain point, they realized whatever I had or whatever I was offering, they didn't want. Um, but the funny thing about that is that they're always manipulating, right? I mean, what is manipulation? Manipulation is just trying to rearrange reality or you know, change somebody's mind on something so you can get what you want, and women are always doing that, right? They're always self-seeking, always trying to get what they want. I don't believe that most women really love men in an altruistic way, a real genuine way, you know. Obviously, I think the best definition of love is in the Bible. It's love is not selfish, love is kind, it doesn't take account of, you know, trespasses or whatever it says. It doesn't take account of faults or whatever. It's a very altruistic definition of love. I think it's 1 Corinthians chapter 13, something like that. Anyway, I think love is altruistic. I think love, and it's probably why I've never really been in love. If you're a guy, at least coming from my perspective, like I was saying, out of scarcity, out of necessity, out of attachment, but also trying to be detached. So playing this game, um, that's not really love either, right? I don't think I've ever really been in love. I've loved women, but I've never really been in love in the truest sense. And I don't think I've ever really been in love, um, you know, in the way that I wanted to be in love, or with the woman that I wanted to be with. You know, I don't think I've ever dated a girl that I really was head over heels. I think I dated, actually, I think I was in love in 8th grade. There was this girl that I dated for maybe maybe 6 months, something like that. Yeah, maybe it wasn't that long. I don't know. It was like 4 months, but I was really, really attracted to her, and I was really, really smitten for her. I was head over heels for her, but there's been a few. I mean, like, there's been girls that I've really, really felt like I could love, but it just wasn't reciprocal, or it didn't work out, or whatever. But the real ones that I've dated, like, for a long term time in my adult life, I've never really loved them. I think I could have settled down with a few of them. I think I could have been with a few of them long term, because we were amiable enough, or we had chemistry, or we got along enough. But at the same time, like, on my end, I didn't feel that pump type of, like, when your heart goes pump, or your heart flutters. Oh, I just love this person. Like, I never felt like that with any of the women I dated when I was an adult. And I don't think maybe they did. I don't know. That's a tough one. I think they all really wanted me, and I think they all really wanted to date me and be in a relationship with me, and I think that they had that type of love for me. But I don't think their love for me was altruistic, because certain things happened, which exposed certain things about them, or they eventually start criticizing me in a certain way, or they eventually, showed their true colors to where they were actually kind of manipulators themselves, or they had a high body count, right? Which is, you know, that's a type of manipulation. One of them had a really high body count, and she was older, a couple years older than me, you know, and she was ready to settle down, and she was just grasping for straws, or she was grasping, to try to settle down. Um, and I think that's the type of manipulation, you know, after she hits the wall, after she hits her epiphany phase, oh, I don't want to be a slut anymore, I want to settle down, you know, and then she just grabs grabs the dude who's available that she likes. And it's just, you know, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the cleanup guy. I've always said that. Don't be the cleanup guy. You know, don't be the guy who's her knight in shining armor to come save her when she's done riding the cock carousel. Don't be that guy. You know, and it's just gross to me. You know, women with a high body count. I've always been attracted to every girl I've dated, but I've never just been like, wow, you know, knocked off my feet, wowed, you know, except one girl that I dated when in eighth grade, another one kind of in ninth grade, but I was really in love with this one in eighth grade, and that didn't work out. Um, I guess you call it puppy love or whatever because we were so young, but man, I was so attracted to her, man. I was so smitten by her, but I guess that's just physical. I guess that's just, you know, love is even deeper than that, you know. Love is, you know, you've been with somebody for a long time, etc. But anyway, yeah, I got called a manipulator for trying to get women back. But the funny thing is like these same women who called me a manipulator already was with another guy, you know, not a few months after we dated. You know, probably already had a backup guy. You know, they would mock me or like talk down to me or say rude things to me, and it's just like, oh really, you really loved me so much, and yet a couple months, you know, after we broke up, you're saying disparaging things to me, and you're already with another guy. It's like that, you know, who's really the manipulator here, you know. Oh, you just want me for sex, like, yeah, okay, yeah, and that's all you have to offer, clearly, because how how come you're already with another guy after a couple of months, and you slept with me on the first date? I'm sure you slept with him on the first date, or you know, our relationship was largely revolving around sex, and so it's like, I know you don't have much else to offer. Like, I know your personality. Like, oh, you're really just in love with this new guy, and it's just like, you know, this is what guys go through. You know, guys go through this type of gaslighting, this type of blame shifting, this type of accusations, and you know, it's like that old saying, "Don't piss down my neck and tell me it's raining." You know, it's like guys aren't dumb. We know you're sleeping around. You know, we, we know you're jumping from relationship to relationship. We know you got backup guys. We know that you're already in a new relationship because it's so easy for women. So there's no conspiracy to put women down. There's no conspiracy to, you know, for guys to just use women for sex. Like, that's just projection. It's just weird feminist propaganda and lies, twisted crap, you know, that women believe or that women use as a weapon to, like, you know, browbeat men and accuse us. And you know, it's like, yeah, men want sex and so do women because you're having it all the time, right? You're but I still think men are more romantic than women are. I think women are much more pragmatic, and from my life experience, I think that women are not what they claim to be. You know, they claim to be the fairer sex. They claim to be so much more moral and so much more. Oh, I want a relationship, and like, nah, nah. Women have a lot more sex than men do in general, I believe. You know, it's just that they're more picky than men, which is ironic. They have a lot more sex than men, but they're also more picky. But what that means is that they're having a lot of sex with a lot of different guys, but they're not having indiscriminate sex, meaning they're still very picky, right? So she could, say there's 100 guys, there's 10 of those 100 guys, right, are the top 10% that she chooses. That's still 10 guys, right? So say a woman gets approached or hit on 1,000 times a year, and she only sleeps with 10% of that. That's 100 guys still, right? I mean, I'm not saying that that's exactly what it is, but I heard somebody say recently, or not, excuse me, not recently. It was actually a long time ago, but I heard somebody say, imagine if you go, you got women today who are going out clubbing. Say you even go out clubbing once a month. I think the example he used was once a week, but say once a month, and say she brought a new guy home every time she went out clubbing. That's 12 guys a year. In 5 years, that's 60 guys. I'm not saying every woman's like that. I'm just saying, women aren't out. People think that. I had a friend a long time ago who's like, women are like camels. They don't need to have sex as much as men. And I'm like, now I know that's not true at all. I used to maybe believe that, but that's not true at all. Women are always having sex. They're just not telling you they're having sex. Right. So the whole point behind that is that you really think she's just out here waiting for the right one? Women aren't doing that, man. Women aren't doing that. Unless she's a Christian and she made a vow with God, that does happen, but women have a sex drive, man. Women want to get laid just as much as men. What they don't like is they don't want to be judged for it. They don't like that men don't like that. They don't like that men, you know, uh, that men don't want a woman who's got a high body count. They don't like that. But you can't have it both ways. You can't have a high body count, sleep around, and still be treated with the same kind of respect. Just doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. So who's the real manipulators here? You know what I mean? Who's the real manipulators? Is it men who are just trying to, you know? And I can't speak for all men, but I know in my experience, um, I wanted love. You know, I wanted love, and I didn't have an abundance of options. I think if I did, I think I will say this. I will say this. I think that if men had the opportunities that women have, they would probably be doing the same thing that women are doing. If men had the opportunities to get laid as much as women do, they'd be doing the same thing that women are doing. They'd be sleeping around too. I will say that. So I think that that's fair. At least that's fair. But again, I can't speak for all men, but I know in my experience, I didn't start out just wanting to sleep with a bunch of women, and I think that that's a stereotype that women put out, against men. Is that all men want is sex? Oh, they just want to sleep with a bunch of women. No, I wanted love, and I know a lot of guys who want love. There's a lot of guys out there who are lonely and they just want a girlfriend to love and settle down with, and they just can't find anyone good, or you know, they're being rejected, right? So it's just not true, and it's projection, but it's also the type of men that women mess around with. They say, oh, all men want is sex. No, the type of men that you talk to only want sex, but you ignore all the dudes who want to date you. So it's a catch-22, and there's something wrong with female brains too, where like if a guy wants to settle down and date them, he's too nice, right? He's in the nice guy zone if he wants to settle down and date them, which is just such a funky, weird trick, biological trick, or I don't know what. It's like about the guys who use them and the bad boys, but they're only attracted to the bad boys. If a guy's too nice, she doesn't want to be with it. It's just wacky. So yeah, it's, don't ever believe into that crap that, oh, guys only want sex and guys are out for one thing. Like, to me that's just feminist propaganda, man. That's just an attack on men, really. And it's such a hypocritical gaslighting thing, because women are the ones who are sleeping around a lot, you know. But they're just doing it with the top tier men. So the top tier men are getting all the women, while everybody else who's not a top 10% man gets nothing. So women will be like, oh, well, that, if women are sleeping around, then guys are too, because the guys are sleeping with them. No, it's only the top 10% of the guys who are sleeping with them. It's not all the guys. Women don't have sex indiscriminately. They're very choosy. So yeah, that theory goes out the window. Guys only want sex. Okay, well, you have a lot of sex. So who are you to talk? You want sex too, just like guys do. It's just guys don't have the options you do. And there's a lot of men who want love, but women are too choosy, or he's too nice, or this, that, and the third. And then people wonder why everybody's walking away from dating. Guys don't want to chase girls anymore. Divorce is a 50%. 1 out of 2 marriages ends in divorce. People are getting cheated on. Relationships are bad. People aren't even getting in relationships anymore. And then people wonder why. Because women are the gatekeepers to sex and relationships to a good degree, although, really men have a lot of power over that, probably more power than women do, in a way. But, and I'm not saying you should settle, but guys are in scarcity mode, and women know this. So it's just a messed up. It's a messed up game, man. It's a messed up. The dating market is really messed up, and it's sad. It's very sad, and we're seeing it. We're seeing the results of it. Plummeting birth rates. Birth rates are plummeting, and it's not just because of the economy. It's not just because of, a lot of it's because of abortion, but a lot of it is because people don't have morals anymore. They don't want to get married. They don't want to settle down, because they just want to go out and be hoes. They want to go out and sleep around. And so there's a lot of men who are just disenfranchised. There's a lot of men who can't do that because they're not good looking enough. They're not bad boy enough. Or they don't make enough money. Or all these things that women want. They don't fit the bill. Whereas if it was just about love,